Sat, Home, Claude, Part 1, Key XT.
The massive crystalline dome of the Grand Galactic Council chamber loomed over Ambassador Michael Torres as he stood alone on the speaker's dais. 5,000 alien representatives from across the galaxy watched from tiered seating that stretched upward like an inverted pyramid. The 7 high counselors, each representing the oldest spacefaring civilizations, sat on elevated platforms directly before him. High Counselor Vrax, the Arcturian representative whose species had achieved interstellar travel when humans were still painting on cave walls, leaned forward. His translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that the translator interpreted as formal diplomatic speech. Earth representative, your species has been permitted to exist independently within Council space for 50 years. This probationary period has concluded. The Council has deliberated and determined that humanity must now pay its dues. The chamber's atmospheric processors seemed to still. The background murmur of 5,000 translation devices fell silent. Humanity has benefited from our protection, our trade routes, our technological guidelines. Now, as is customary for all species, a tribute will be demanded. Ambassador Torres remained impassive, though sweat beaded on his forehead. Behind him, the small human delegation exchanged worried glances. Earth's military force was insignificant compared to even the smallest Council member species. This moment, the tribute assessment would determine humanity's place in the galactic hierarchy for centuries. We have calculated the appropriate tribute based on your species' capabilities and resources, continued Vrax. Earth will surrender 30% of its water reserves, 40% of its rare Earth elements, and establish conscription protocols to provide soldiers for the Galactic Peace Force at a rate of 1 million humans per Earth year. Gasps echoed through the chamber. This was not tribute. This was subjugation. Even the representatives of other young species looked uncomfortable. Torres cleared his throat. The Council expects a reply? Immediately, answered all 7 high counselors in unison. The terms are non-negotiable. Torres removed a small communication device from his pocket, exchanged a brief message with Earth's emergency response team, and then straightened his shoulders. When he spoke, the chamber's acoustics carried his voice to every corner. Humanity's response to your tribute demand is a single word. The Council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Single-word diplomatic responses were unheard of in galactic politics, where even simple agreements typically required lengthy formulaic statements. Torres took a deep breath and delivered humanity's reply. No. The chamber exploded with noise. Translation devices struggled to keep pace with the shouted reactions from 1,000 different species. The 7 high counselors rose from their seats simultaneously, their expressions ranging from shock to fury. Silence, commanded Vrax, his skin now flashing angry red pulses. The chamber gradually quieted. Ambassador Torres, perhaps your translation device has malfunctioned. No species has ever rejected a tribute demand. Torres stood his ground. My translator works perfectly, High Counselor. Humanity declines your terms. High Counselor Zell of the Procyon Dominion leaned forward, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. You cannot simply refuse. The tribute is not optional. It is the foundation of galactic order. Then perhaps the order needs reconsidering, Torres replied calmly. Guards with sleek energy weapons moved to surround the human delegation. The other ambassadors in the chamber watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. Some of the younger species representatives showed something else in their eyes, a flicker of hope. Ambassador Torres, said High Counselor Vrax, his voice deadly quiet. You place your entire species at risk with this insolence. The Council's enforcement fleet can reach Earth in 3 of your days. Reconsider your position. Torres looked directly at the Council leader. Humanity has considered its position carefully. For 50 years we've observed how the Council operates, how tribute from younger worlds consistently increases until those worlds are stripped of resources, how species that pay tribute never advance to full Council membership. The system isn't designed for elevation, it's designed for exploitation. A wave of murmurs swept through the chamber again. Many of the assembled representatives had harbored such thoughts privately, but none had dared speak them aloud. You overstep, human, growled Counselor Dreth, whose reptilian features twisted with rage. Guards remove the Earth delegation to holding cells. Their planet will learn the cost of defiance. As the guards moved closer, Torres touched a concealed device on his wrist. Throughout the chamber, small drones no larger than insects smuggled in as components of the human delegation's formal attire, activated, and projected a series of images on the chamber's walls. The images showed council mining operations on tribute-paying worlds, planets whose oceans had been drained to husks, populations working in labor camps, resources flowing only one way, toward the 7 founding species. "We came prepared for this moment," Torres said as the council members frantically tried to disable the projections. "These images are broadcasting to every world in the council sphere. The truth of tribute is no longer secret." The guards hesitated, looking to their superiors for direction. Some of the younger species representatives had stood from their seats, watching the unfolding drama with newfound courage. "This changes nothing," declared Vrax, though uncertainty tinged his voice. "The enforcement fleet will depart immediately. Earth has 3 days to reconsider or face the consequences." Torres nodded to his team. They began to file out of the chamber, surprisingly unmolested by the guards, who seemed confused by the lack of clear orders. "High Counselors," Torres said as he reached the chamber's exit, "humanity's no isn't just a refusal. It's an invitation to all species who tire of tribute. In 3 days you may find that Earth doesn't stand alone." As the human delegation departed, the chamber descended into chaos. Representatives of dozens of tribute-paying worlds converged, speaking urgently. The 7 High Counselors huddled together, their confident demeanor shaken. In the diplomatic vessel returning the Earth delegation to their homeworld, Torres stared out at the stars. His aide, Diplomat Jones, approached with a data tablet. "Sir, we've received confirmations. The broadcast reached every major world. Protests have begun on 12 tribute-paying planets. The Proxima Centauri colony has publicly declared support for Earth's position." Torres nodded. "And our defensive preparations?" "On schedule," Jones confirmed. "Admiral Diane reports that Operation Shield Wall will be fully deployed within 36 hours. Whether the Council knows it or not, their enforcement fleet will face technology they believe impossible for humans to possess." "They've underestimated us from the beginning," Torres said quietly. "They saw our caution as weakness, our study as admiration, our compliance as submission. But humanity learned something in our bloody climb to the stars. The most dangerous moment is when someone believes they have total power over you." The ship accelerated toward Earth, where the planet's hidden defenses were awakening after decades of secrecy. Orbital platforms previously disguised as communications satellites revealed weapon systems. Underground hangars opened to launch vessels with capabilities far beyond what humanity had ever demonstrated to the Council. On Mars, massive facilities that the Council believed were simple mining operations uncovered their true purpose. Shipyards producing warships with technology reverse-engineered from a dozen different Council species and improved upon by human innovation. In the command center beneath Geneva, Earth's Unified Defense Directorate watched as reports flooded in from agents embedded throughout Council space. Operation Truth, the exposure of the Council's exploitation, was creating exactly the disruption they had hoped for. The carefully maintained hierarchy was fracturing along its stress lines. Director Marcus Powell surveyed the Global Defense Readiness reports. "They'll still send the fleet," he noted. "The Council cannot allow our defiance to stand no matter how many worlds question them now." Admiral Diane nodded. "We're counting on it. For 50 years they've seen what we wanted them to see. A young, naive species grateful for admission to the galactic community. They have no idea what we've been building. And if it's not enough," asked a junior officer, "then humanity falls," Powell said simply. "But not before we expose the truth about the Council to every species in the galaxy. Sometimes victory isn't about surviving, it's about changing the rules of the game." As Earth prepared for possible extinction, a quiet revolution was spreading across the stars. On 100 worlds, beings who had paid tribute for generations watched the humans' defiance with growing courage. The Council's perfect system of control had encountered something it had never faced before, a species that said no, and meant it. The countdown to confrontation had begun. OF. Katiut Home Claude Partoit Extu. EOF Admiral Leora Diane stood on the bridge of the EFS Defiance, Earth's flagship vessel hidden in the shadow of Saturn's rings. Before her, Holographic displays showed the unfolding diplomatic crisis at the Galactic Council headquarters. The massive ship, over a mile long and bristling with weapons that officially shouldn't exist, represented humanity's greatest secret. While appearing to follow Council technology restrictions, Earth had been quietly building a fleet capable of challenging even the oldest spacefaring races. "What do you mean they've gone silent?" she demanded, addressing her communications officer. Lieutenant Rivera's fingers danced across his console. "The Council has cut all communication with our delegation, Admiral. But we're still receiving their internal broadcast through Protocol 7. Protocol 7, humanity's greatest intelligence achievement. While the Galactic Council believed Earth had only achieved basic interstellar capabilities, human scientists had developed quantum entanglement communication systems that allowed them to intercept and decode even the most secure Council transmissions. Counselor, Thrax of the Meridonian Collective appeared on the main view screen, addressing an emergency council session. "This defiance cannot stand. No species has ever rejected a tribute demand. The humans must be taught their place. Deploy the first phase," ordered Admiral Diane. Throughout the Sol system, hundreds of previously hidden defense platforms shimmered into visibility as their cloaking fields deactivated. On Mars, massive hangar doors opened on supposedly abandoned research facilities, revealing armadas of warships unlike anything the Council races had encountered. In the Council chamber, Ambassador Torres stood unflinching as security forces surrounded him. "Your single word was most unwise," said High Counselor Vrax. "Perhaps you misunderstand your position in this galaxy." Torres smiled thinly. "I understand perfectly. For 50 years we've been studying you, learning your languages, your technologies, your weaknesses. You expected us to be grateful for your protection while you secretly harvested our world's resources through shell corporations and proxy species." The chamber grew deathly quiet. "What you call tribute is what we call extortion," Torres continued. "And humanity does not respond well to threats." High Counselor Zell of the Protean Dominion rose. "You speak boldly for a species with a single habitable world and rudimentary defensive capabilities." At that moment, every communication device in the chamber activated simultaneously, broadcasting the same image: Earth's defense grid going live, revealing technology far beyond what a probationary species should possess. That no wasn't just a refusal, Torres explained calmly. It was a declaration that the old ways of the galaxy are over. Back on the Defiance, Admiral Diane watched the chaos unfolding in the Council chamber with grim satisfaction. "Status of the enforcement fleet?" she asked. "Preparing to depart, Admiral," reported Commander Ortiz from Tactical. 87 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts. Estimated arrival at Earth in 68 hours, Diane nodded. "And our allies?" "The colonies at Proxima Centauri, Tau Ceti, and Epsilon Eridani have all declared for Earth. 7 previously tribute-paying worlds have announced they're suspending payments to the Council. Protests have broken out on dozens more." "Not enough," Diane murmured. "Not yet." The Admiral turned to her Strategic Operations Officer. "Deploy the courier drones to the pre-selected worlds. It's time for Phase 2. Throughout Council space, small, nearly undetectable vessels appeared near the capitals of 20 tribute-paying worlds. Each carried data packages containing evidence of Council exploitation and detailed technical schematics for technologies the Council had forbidden these worlds to develop. On the Galactic Council's central world of Arcturia Prime, the 7 High Counselors met in their secure chamber. No recording devices were permitted. No outside communications could penetrate the room's security fields. "How did they hide such technology?" demanded Counselor Dreth. "Our assessment teams have inspected Earth facilities annually for 50 years. Vrax's skin pulsed with patterns of concern. "They showed us what they wanted us to see. While we believed them to be developing along our approved paths, they were building something else entirely. The enforcement fleet must depart immediately," insisted Zell. "We must crush this rebellion before it spreads." Vrax studied the reports before him. The rebellion is already spreading. 17 worlds have expressed solidarity with Earth. The humans have somehow distributed restricted technical data to tribute worlds. Our information control protocols have been compromised. "Impossible," growled Dreth. "No species could penetrate our quantum encryption. Yet, They have, replied Vrax. This changes our calculus. If we move against Earth now, we may face not one defiant world but dozens. On Earth, the United Nations Emergency Council convened beneath the reinforced bunkers of Geneva. Ambassador Torres, recalled from the Galactic Council, stood before the assembled leaders of humanity. The Council's enforcement fleet will reach Earth in less than 3 days, he reported. 87 vessels, including 3 planet killers. President Alvarez of the United North American Alliance rose. Can our defenses hold against such a force? Admiral Dion, attending via secure hologram from the Defiance, answered. Not indefinitely, Madam President. But we don't need to win a conventional war. We need to change the rules of engagement. Director Elena Rodriguez of Earth. Intelligence activated a holographic display showing the quantum entanglement network that humanity had secretly established throughout Council space. Dots of light represented hidden human agents and autonomous systems positioned on hundreds of worlds. Operation Truth is proceeding faster than anticipated, she reported. The Council's carefully maintained image is cracking. For 3,000 years they've presented themselves as benevolent overseers, guiding younger species toward enlightenment. Now the truth is spreading. The tribute system exists to keep developing worlds permanently subordinate. But will it be enough? Asked the European Federation representative. Words won't stop their fleet. Admiral Dion smiled grimly. Words alone, no, but we're not relying only on words. On her signal, the display shifted to show a region of space near Jupiter, a massive structure, previously hidden by advanced cloaking technology, shimmered into view. It resembled a giant ring over 10 kilometers in diameter. The Einstein-Rosen bridge, Dion explained. Stable wormhole technology. Another development we've kept hidden from the Council. Their fleet will follow the only approach vector that avoids our outer system defenses. When they do, we'll activate the bridge. Sending them where? Asked President Alvarez. Not where, Madam President, when? Dion's expression was solemn. 12 hours into the future. Directly into the kill zone we'll have prepared. Murmurs spread through the assembled leaders. Time manipulation technology was theoretically impossible according to Council science. And if this fails, pressed the African Union representative. Torres stepped forward. Then humanity falls. But not before we've changed the galaxy forever. Already dozens of worlds are questioning the tribute system. The Council's control was always built on 2 foundations: technological superiority and information control. We've undermined both. Throughout the Sol system, humanity's hidden fleet continued to emerge. Vessels that had been disguised as mining platforms, research stations, or commercial transports revealed their true nature. Earth had spent 50 years preparing for this confrontation, building ships and weapons that incorporated and improved upon technology from a dozen different Council species. In deep space, at the edge of the Sol system, automated sensors detected the departure of the Council's enforcement fleet. 87 vessels moving in perfect formation, accelerating to faster-than-light speeds on a direct course for Earth. On the Defiance, Admiral Dion received the alert. They're coming, she announced to her bridge crew. Right on schedule and following the exact approach vector our intelligence predicted. Should we alert the Allied worlds? Asked Commander Ortiz. Dion considered this. Not yet. Let the Council believe they face only Earth. When their fleet emerges from the wormhole into our trap, the galaxy will see that even their military supremacy is an illusion. As the hours ticked by, Earth's preparations continued. The Einstein-Rosen bridge powered up, its massive energy requirements drawing from hidden antimatter reactors on Jupiter's moons. Defensive platforms throughout the inner system calibrated their targeting systems. The planet's cities retreated beneath protective shields, technology supposedly centuries beyond humanity's reach. In Council space, the rebellion continued to grow. 23 worlds had now publicly rejected the tribute system. The Galactic Council, for the first time in 3,000 years, faced a crisis it could not control through intimidation or force. Humanity had said no, and the galaxy was changing. EOF. Cat, Home Claude Part 3.txt. EOF Director Eliana Wright of Earth Intelligence sat in a darkened conference room deep beneath Geneva, surrounded by the Emergency Planetary Defense Council. The room hummed with tension as representatives from every major Earth power and colony stared at the massive display wall showing a countdown timer. 72 Y Mao, Ticking down second by second. 3 days, she announced, her voice cutting through the anxious murmurs. That's how long we have before the Council's enforcement fleet enters the Sol system. The holographic projector at the center of the table activated, showing the approaching Council armada, 87 warships, including 3 planet killers capable of cracking Earth's crust with concentrated energy bombardment. General Jackson, commander of Earth's unified military forces, pounded the table with a scarred fist. We should strike first. We have the element of surprise. Our hidden fleets could intercept them before they reach the outer system boundary, and fight the combined forces of 5,000 worlds, countered Ambassador Rodriguez, Torres's second who had been recalled to Earth. Even with our hidden technologies, we'd be overwhelmed eventually. Wright activated another holographic display showing the quantum entanglement network that humanity had secretly established throughout Council. Space, another technology supposedly beyond human capability. Dots of light represented hidden human agents and autonomous systems positioned on hundreds of worlds. We don't need to fight them all, Wright said. We just need to change the rules of engagement. The display shifted, showing the transmission being broadcast across all Council communications channels. Footage of Council species atrocities against other, tribute-paying worlds. Evidence of resource stripping that had left once vibrant planets as husks. Proof of the Council's systematic suppression of technological innovation among younger species. Operation Truth, Wright explained. For decades we've been gathering evidence. The Council maintains control not through actual technological superiority, but through the perception of it. They keep younger species divided and fearful. The door opened and a tall figure entered. Ambassador Kang, representative of the Proxima Centauri colony. The Centauri Confederation stands with Earth, as do the colonies at Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani. That's still just 4 systems against thousands, said General Jackson. Wright smiled. We don't need to convince thousands, just enough to create doubt. On the main display, riots had broken out on 12 Council worlds as citizens learned how their governments had been manipulating less developed species. The Council's carefully maintained image of benevolent oversight was cracking. The countdown isn't to war, Wright revealed. It's to revelation. For 3,000 years, the Council has kept younger species competing for scraps. Humanity's no wasn't just defiance, it was an awakening. In the Council's secure war room on Arcturia Prime, High Counselor Vrax watched with growing alarm as reports flooded in from across Council space. Planets that had paid tribute for centuries were now demanding explanations. Some had even begun dismantling the Council monitoring stations on their worlds. How did they do this? Hissed Counselor Dreth. How did they penetrate our security so thoroughly? Vrax's skin flickered with patterns of deep concern. We underestimated them. While we watched for weapons, they built information systems. While we restricted their ships, they created networks. They understood what we never have. True power in this age comes not from destruction but from knowledge. The enforcement fleet must proceed, insisted Counselor Zell. We cannot allow this challenge to stand. The fleet is already committed, Vrax acknowledged. But I fear we may be fighting the wrong battle. On board the EFS Defiance, Admiral Dion received an unexpected communication request. The source identifier showed it came directly from the lead vessel of the approaching Council fleet. Put it through, she ordered. The stern face of Fleet Lord Tav appeared on the main view screen. His species, the Draconians, had been among the founding members of the Council 10,000 years earlier. Human vessel, he began without preamble. You have violated multiple Council technology restrictions. Your planet harbors forbidden weapons. Surrender now and face judgment, or we will have no choice but to enact Protocol 17. Total planetary devastation, the Council's final solution for defiant worlds. Fleet Lord, Dion replied calmly. Your approach vector takes you directly through the coordinates we've transmitted to your navigation systems. Deviate, and we'll consider it an act of aggression. The alien commander's scaled face showed confusion. You are not in a position to make demands. Our arrival is in 65 hours. Prepare your surrender. The communication ended. Dion turned to her science officer. Status of the Einstein-Rosen bridge? Power levels at 80% and rising, Admiral. The aperture will be stable enough for activation in 48 hours, well before their arrival. Dion nodded. And our allies? 29 systems have now publicly rejected council authority. The Rigelian Union, a third-tier council member, has announced it's reconsidering its position. The quantum broadcasts have reached an estimated 60% of all council worlds. It's working, Diane said softly. Now we just need to survive their response. Throughout the Sol system, humanity's defensive preparations continued at a frantic pace. The massive ring structure of the Einstein-Rosen bridge near Jupiter glowed with increasing energy as it prepared to create something the council believed impossible, a controlled wormhole that could displace objects in both space and time. On Earth, citizens watched the skies with a mixture of fear and determination. Public shelters filled. Emergency supplies were distributed. Yet unlike previous human conflicts, there was a strange unity to the preparations. For perhaps the first time in their bloody history, humans faced an external threat as a single species rather than as competing nations. In her secure office beneath Geneva, Director Wright received a priority communication. The caller's face was concealed by an electronic mask, a deep cover agent embedded within the council hierarchy. "The council is panicking," reported the agent. "Your Operation Truth has been more effective than anticipated. 23 council members have called for an emergency session to discuss the tribute system. The 7 founding species are losing control of the narrative." "And the enforcement fleet?" Wright asked. "Still coming. Fleet Lord Tav has explicit orders to make an example of Earth, no matter the political cost. But the support for such action is fracturing. Many council worlds see Earth not as a threat, but as a potential ally against the founding species' dominance." Wright leaned forward. "We need time. Can you delay the vote on further military action?" "Possibly. But you should know. Some of the younger council members have begun asking questions about human technological capabilities. They're wondering how you developed quantum entanglement communications and shield technology without detection. There's growing concern that if humans could do this, what else might you be hiding?" "Let them wonder," Wright replied. "Uncertainty serves our purposes now." As the countdown continued, Earth's allies grew more numerous. The Einstein-Rosen bridge neared completion, and throughout council space, the careful hierarchical system that had maintained control for millennia continued to fracture along its stress lines. In the Oval Office of the restored White House, President Alvarez met with Ambassador Torres and the Leadership Council. "Are we ready?" she asked simply. Torres nodded. "The Einstein-Rosen bridge will be fully operational in 12 hours. Admiral Diane has positioned our defense fleet at the calculated emergence coordinates. When the Council fleet arrives, they'll find themselves not where they expect to be, but where we want them. And if the bridge fails, then we fight conventionally," General Jackson said grimly. "Our hidden fleet is more advanced than they know, but against 87 Council warships, including 3 planet killers." He didn't need to finish the sentence. "There's another development," Torres added. "We've received communication from 37 tribute-paying worlds. They're forming what they're calling the Free Systems Alliance. They've asked Earth to join, not as a leader, but as an equal member." President Alvarez considered this. A new power block in the galaxy, one not controlled by the founding species. Exactly. This was always the ultimate goal of Operation Truth, not just to resist the Council, but to break its monopoly on power. To create space for a different kind of interstellar community. The countdown reached 36 hours. The Einstein-Rosen bridge pulsed with energy as final calibrations were made. Earth's hidden fleet moved into position near Jupiter, ready to confront the Council ships when they emerged from the wormhole. And throughout the galaxy, beings of all species watched. For 3,000 years, the Council had projected an image of unassailable power. Now a single world had said no, and survived. Whatever happened next would reshape galactic politics forever. In the war room beneath Geneva, Director Wright watched the countdown tick past the 24-hour mark. Reports continued to flood in from across Council space. The opposition to military action against Earth had grown stronger. 3 Council member worlds had recalled their ships from the enforcement fleet, reducing its strength by 11 vessels. But 76 warships, including all 3 planet killers, remained on. Kerrison Home Claude, Part 4.txt. EOF Dr. Marcus Okafor floated in the zero-gravity diplomatic chamber of Ceres Station, watching as representatives from 27 species entered through the airlock. Some moved with the easy grace of beings accustomed to null-G environments. Others struggled with awkward motions, their evolutionary history clearly tied to planetary surfaces. All of them shared one thing in common. They had broken with the Galactic Council after humanity's revelations. The chamber itself was a testament to human ingenuity. Constructed in secret over decades, shielded from Council observation by technology that should have been impossible for a probationary species to develop. Its walls displayed real-time feeds from across the solar system, showing Earth's defenses going to full alert as the Council enforcement fleet approached. The Council fleet will reach Sol in 18 hours. Dr. Okafor began once all delegates had secured themselves to conference positions. They bring 76 warships. They expect to find Earth standing alone. Grelth, the massive gelatinous representative of the European depths, pulsed with skeptical light patterns. Your revelations were compelling, human. But what can this hastily assembled coalition hope to achieve against the Council's military might? 3 planet killers travel with that fleet. One alone could render Earth uninhabitable. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Many of these species had joined Earth's cause out of moral outrage after seeing evidence of the Council's exploitation, but few believed military resistance was possible. Most were ancient races who had been relegated to secondary status millennia ago. Others were young species like humanity, who had chafed under Council restrictions. Okafor gestured, and the chamber's holographic projector activated, displaying technical schematics that made even the oldest species present ripple with surprise. Humanity never trusted the Council's restrictions on technological development, Okafor explained. While we appeared to follow their guidelines, we pursued our own research paths. What we discovered is that the Council's technology has been deliberately stagnant for millennia. They don't innovate, they control. The schematics showed a propulsion system unlike anything the gathered species had seen. This is the Alcubierre Mori drive, continued Okafor. It allows for transit between star systems in hours rather than weeks. We've already installed the technology on 50 of our vessels. Zanva, the avian representative of the Rigelian Union, fluttered her wing membranes in disbelief. Such technology would have earned your species immediate sanction and quarantine if discovered. Precisely why we kept it hidden, Okafor replied. Along with our quantum communication network, our shield technology, and our energy weapons. But today, we offer to share everything with those who stand with Earth. The chamber erupted in overlapping translator voices as the implications became clear. For millennia, the Council had maintained its position through technological superiority. Now a species that had reached space less than a century earlier was offering to level the playing field. We don't need to defeat the Council militarily, Okafor said when the noise subsided. We need to demonstrate that their technological supremacy is a myth, that their right to rule is based on deception. On the display surrounding them, the first of Earth's advanced ships vanished from the Sol system, using the Alcubierre Mori drive to reposition behind the advancing Council fleet. Humanity said no to tribute, Okafor stated. Now we say yes to a new galactic order, one built on cooperation rather than subjugation. In deep space, aboard the Council flagship Inevitable Justice, Fleet Lord Tav received an alarming report from his sensor officers. Unknown vessels have appeared behind our formation, the officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. They match no known configuration. Their energy signatures suggest capabilities beyond standard military parameters. Impossible, Tav growled. No ship could have overtaken us without detection. Check your systems for malfunction. Systems confirmed operational. Fleet Lord, the vessels are real, and they're transmitting on all frequencies. The main view screen activated without command, showing the face of Admiral Leora Dayan of the Earth Defense Force. Council vessels, she announced without preamble. You have entered restricted space. The Sol system is under the protection of the Free Systems Alliance. Reduce speed and prepare for inspection, or we will consider your approach hostile. Tav's scales bristled with fury. This is outrageous. By what authority do you challenge a Council enforcement fleet? By the authority of 37 sovereign systems who have rejected Council control, Dayan replied calmly. And by the power of technology your Council tried to suppress. You have 1 hour to respond. The transmission ended, leaving the Council commander staring at his officers in disbelief. How did they get ships behind us? He demanded. Our approach was through empty space. There are no jump points within light years of our position. No one had an answer. Back on Ceres Station, Dr. Okafor continued briefing the assembled representatives. The Council fleet is now faced with a dilemma. If they proceed, they reveal the limitations of their military doctrine. If they retreat, they confirm their weakness, Miko, and if they attack? Asked the Centaurian delegate, her facial tentacles writhing with concern. Okafor's expression turned grave. Then we activate the Einstein-Rosen bridge. For the past 50 years, humanity has been developing what the Council deemed impossible. Controlled wormhole technology capable of displacing objects in both space and time. He gestured to a display showing the massive ring structure near Jupiter, now pulsing with energy as final preparations were made. When activated, the bridge will create a stable wormhole directly in the Council fleet's path. Any vessel entering will exit in the same spatial coordinates but 12 hours in the future. Where your defense fleet will be waiting, concluded Zanva, understanding dawning in her large eyes. Precisely. We have no desire for wholesale destruction, but if forced to fight, we'll do so on our terms. Throughout the Sol system, humanity's defensive preparations neared completion. The hidden fleet, vessels incorporating technology gleaned from a dozen different Council species and improved upon by human innovation, moved into position. The Einstein-Rosen bridge reached 95% power capacity, its massive energy requirements drawing from antimatter reactors hidden on Jupiter's moons. On Earth itself, billions of humans watched the skies. For the first time in their turbulent history, they stood united as a species rather than divided nations. Public shelters were filled. Emergency supplies distributed. Defense platforms in orbit, previously disguised as communication satellites or research stations, revealed their true nature as weapon platforms capable of engaging ships in high orbit. In Geneva, Director Wright of Earth Intelligence received priority communications from agents throughout Council space. The political situation was deteriorating rapidly. 17 Council member worlds had formally condemned the enforcement action against Earth. 3 had announced they were withdrawing from the Council entirely. It's working better than we hoped, she told President Alvarez in a secure conference. The Council's control was always based on maintaining the perception of overwhelming power and authority. Once that perception cracked, everything else began to follow. But the fleet is still coming, the President noted soberly. Yes. Fleet Lord Tav has explicit orders to make an example of Earth, no matter the political cost. The founding species believe they must crush this rebellion or risk losing everything. Then we proceed as planned, Alvarez decided. Activate the final phase of Operation Truth. Throughout Council space on thousands of worlds, beings of all species received a direct transmission, not through official channels or controlled media networks, but through personal communication devices, public information terminals, even entertainment systems. The quantum entanglement network that humanity had built in secret allowed them to bypass the Council's communications control entirely. The message was simple. For 3,000 years, the Council had maintained a galaxy of haves and have-nots. They demanded tribute not because they needed resources, but because tribute kept developing worlds poor and dependent. They restricted technology not for safety, but to prevent challenges to their authority. And now a coalition of worlds, the newly formed Free Systems Alliance, offered an alternative. Equal membership, shared technological development, mutual defense, a true community of species rather than a hierarchical empire. As the Council fleet approached the outer boundaries of the Sol system, they received an updated report. 39 more worlds had declared for the Alliance. Among them were 4 full Council members, their ships now withdrawing from the enforcement fleet. Fleet Lord Tav faced a decision that would echo through galactic history. Proceed with a now diminished force against a world that had revealed technological capabilities far beyond expectations, or retreat acknowledging the changing galactic reality? On the bridge of the EFS Defiance, Admiral Diane watched the tactical display showing the approaching Council vessels. They're not slowing, she observed. Final preparations for Einstein-Rosen activation? Bridge at full power, Admiral, reported her science officer. Aperture stability confirmed. We can activate on your command. Diane nodded. And our defensive fleet? In Posey. Cat and Home Claude, Part 5.txt. EOF Grand Admiral Javier Reyes stood on the bridge of the EFS Prometheus as it led the combined fleet of the newly formed Free Systems Alliance. 43 vessels from 17 different species arranged in a defensive formation, each incorporating technology that, until recently, had been restricted by Council mandate. Before them, space-time itself distorted as the Einstein-Rosen bridge prepared to deliver the Council enforcement fleet directly into their targeting solutions. The bridge of the Prometheus fell silent as the tactical display showed the first Council vessels emerging from the wormhole. Disoriented by the sudden 12-hour displacement in time, the Council ships struggled to re-establish formation as they found themselves not where they expected to be, but where humanity wanted them. "They're hailing us," Admiral reported his communications officer. "On screen," Reyes ordered. The weathered face of Fleet Lord Zaxor, the Council's supreme military commander, appeared, his scaled features contorted with a mixture of shock and fury as he realized the trap into which his fleet had fallen. "This rebellion ends now, human. Surrender Ambassador Torres and dismantle your defenses, or we will reduce your homeworld to ash." Reyes studied the alien commander thoughtfully. "You still don't understand what's happening, do you? This isn't a rebellion, it's a revelation." At his signal, Alliance ships began appearing throughout the Council formation, vessels that had used the Alcubierre-Maury drive to position themselves strategically. The Council fleet was suddenly surrounded. "Impossible," stammered Zaxor. "No species possesses such technology." "The Council told us that," Reyes replied. "We chose not to believe it." On Earth, Ambassador Torres stood before the emergency United Nations session, broadcast throughout human space and to all allied species through the Quantum Entanglement Network. "For 3,000 years, the Council has maintained a galaxy of haves and have-nots," Torres declared. "They demanded tribute not because they needed resources, but because tribute keeps developing worlds poor and dependent. They restricted technology not for safety, but to prevent challenges to their authority." In space, more vessels were arriving, ships from dozens of species who had watched the confrontation and chosen to stand with the Alliance rather than the Council. "Our no was never just about Earth," Torres continued. "It was about every species that has been exploited, every civilization kept from reaching its potential. Today, humanity extends its hand in genuine partnership to all who wish to build something better." Fleet Lord Zaxor's image reappeared on the Prometheus's view screen. "The Council has stood for 30 centuries. You cannot simply—" "We already have," interrupted Reyes. "Your choice now is simple. Retreat and allow the Council to evolve into something more equitable, or fire the first shot in a war you cannot win." Throughout the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, beings of all species watched the confrontation unfold. The Council's mythology of supremacy was crumbling in real time. Slowly, Council vessels began powering down their weapons. One by one, then in groups, they broke formation and retreated. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Admiral Reyes allowed himself a small smile. Humanity's no just changed the galaxy forever. In the Council's central chamber on Arcturia Prime, the 7 founding species representatives faced an unprecedented crisis. Half their member worlds had declared support for the Free Systems Alliance. Their enforcement fleet had retreated in disarray. And throughout Council space, the tribute system was collapsing as world after world suspended payments. "How did this happen?" demanded Councilor Dreth, his reptilian features twisted with rage. "How did a primitive species that achieved spaceflight less than a century ago outmaneuver us so completely?" High Councilor Vrax's skin pulsed with patterns of deep distress. "Because we became complacent. For 3,000 years, we've relied on maintaining the perception of overwhelming superiority. We stopped innovating and focused only on control. Meanwhile, the humans studied us, learned our weaknesses, and developed in ways we thought impossible. We must retaliate," insisted Councilor Zell. "Assemble a larger fleet. Crush this rebellion before it spreads further." "It's already too late," replied Vrax. "Look at the reports. 46 member worlds have formally withdrawn from the Council. 17 tribute worlds have stopped payments entirely, and the humans have begun sharing their technology with everyone who joins their alliance. Technological restrictions were the foundation of our control," acknowledged another counselor. Without them, we face a choice," Vrax concluded. Evolve or become irrelevant. On Ceres Station, Dr. Okafor hosted an expanded gathering of the Free Systems Alliance. 62 species were now represented, their delegates filling the chamber designed for just a fraction of that number. The Council fleet has withdrawn beyond the Kuiper Belt, he reported. Earth is safe, at least for now, but this is just the beginning. The holographic projector activated, showing the technical schematics for the Alcubierre-Maury drive, the quantum entanglement communication system, and a dozen other technologies that humanity had developed in secret. As promised, these designs are now available to all Alliance members, Okafor announced. Our engineers will assist with implementation. Within months, every world in this coalition will possess capabilities the Council tried to suppress for millennia. Zanva of the Rigelian Union raised a wing membrane for attention. The Council will not accept this new reality without resistance. They still control significant resources and military assets. True, acknowledged Okafor, which is why we must move quickly to establish the Alliance as a legitimate galactic power. Not through conquest or domination, but through cooperation and mutual advancement. Throughout human space, celebrations erupted as news of the Council fleet's retreat spread. Cities that had been prepared for orbital bombardment now held impromptu festivals. The hidden defenses that had been revealed remained active, but the immediate threat had passed. In Geneva, President Alvarez met with Director Wright and the Leadership Council to discuss next steps. The Free Systems Alliance now includes 74 worlds and growing, reported Director Wright. The Council is facing internal rebellion from its remaining members. Their control is fracturing on multiple fronts. And our defenses? Asked the President, at full readiness. We don't expect an immediate counterattack, but the Council founding species won't surrender 3,000 years of dominance without a fight. Alvarez nodded. Then we must be prepared for the long game. This isn't just about Earth's independence, it's about reshaping the galaxy's power structure. Which brings us to the question of leadership, noted Ambassador Torres. Many Alliance worlds are looking to humanity to guide this new coalition. They see us as the architects of the Council's downfall. And that's exactly what we must avoid, Alvarez replied firmly. The Alliance cannot simply replace one hierarchy with another. Our goal has never been to rule, but to create a truly equitable interstellar community. On the Prometheus, Admiral Reyes received a priority communication from Fleet Lord Tav, now operating under authority granted by a reformed Council Emergency Committee. Admiral, the alien commander began, his tone notably more respectful than in previous communications. The Galactic Council requests formal diplomatic relations with the Free Systems Alliance. We propose a neutral meeting ground for preliminary discussions. Reyes raised an eyebrow. And the tribute system? Suspended by unanimous vote of the Emergency Committee. The Council acknowledges that certain policies may require reconsideration in light of recent events. It was as close to an admission of defeat as the proud commander could manage. Reyes nodded. I'll relay your request to Alliance leadership. Throughout the galaxy, the ripples of humanity's defiance continued to spread. Worlds that had paid tribute for generations found their voice. Species that had been deemed technologically immature began developing capabilities the Council had forbidden. The careful hierarchy that had maintained galactic order for 3,000 years continued to transform. On Earth, in the restored chambers of the United Nations, Ambassador Torres addressed representatives from every human nation and colony. 1 month ago, humanity faced extinction for daring to say no to the Council's tribute demands. Today we stand at the center of a galactic revolution, not because we sought power, but because we refused to accept subjugation. He activated a holographic display showing the growing membership of the Free Systems Alliance, now 89, worlds and expanding daily. Our defiance has changed the galaxy forever, but our greatest challenge lies ahead, building something better than what came before. Not replacing one empire with another, but creating a true community of worlds where advancement and cooperation replace exploitation and control. The display shifted to show the ongoing transformation of the Einstein-Rosen bridge near Jupiter. Once a weapon of last resort, it was being reconfigured as the first of many transit points in a new interstellar transportation network that would connect Alliance worlds. Humanity said no to tribute, Torres concluded. Now we must say yes to a responsibility greater than any we've faced before. helping to build a galaxy where no species need ever fear domination by another. On planets throughout the galaxy, beings who had lived for generati